What's up, everyone? Welcome to the September 21st edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, be sure to click the link below to claim up to a $100 first match deposit bonus with Prize Picks. We have a 9-game MLB slate tonight. As usual, we're going to take a look at 3 of the top tournament stacks and 3 of the top tournament pitchers using the top stacks tool and the top pitchers tool on the Stokastic.com website. Starting with the top stacks, number 3, the Los Angeles Angels are taking on Dane Dunning tonight in Texas. They're projected for 5% ownership with a 6% chance of being the top scoring stack and a 5% chance of being the top value stack. Dunning is about as average a pitcher as it gets. 19.7% strikeout percentage and 4.11 xFIP so far this season. The Angels active roster has a 109 WRC plus and 185 ISO. Obviously, a lot of that is attributed to Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, but anytime you can get 2 of the best hitters in baseball in your lineup together, that makes sense. Rounded out with some of Luis Rengifo, who gives you multi-position eligibility, and then a couple of other guys further down in the order with whatever positions you need. And you have a pretty solid stack here against Dunning at relatively low ownership. Number 2, the Seattle Mariners taking on James Kaprielian tonight in Oakland. They're projected for 6% ownership with a 7% chance of being the top scoring stack and a 5% chance of being the top value stack. It's a difficult park to hit in, but Kaprielian's one of the weaker pitchers on the slate with a 15.8% strikeout percentage and 5.46 xFIP. The Mariners active roster has a 107 WRC plus and 158 ISO. And number 1, the San Francisco Giants taking on German Marquez tonight in Coors Field. They are projected for 14% ownership with a 14% chance of being the top scoring stack and an 11% chance of being the top value stack. Marquez is a solid pitcher with an 18.5% strikeout percentage and 4.11 xFIP this season. The Giants active roster has a 104 WRC plus and 161 ISO. Even though this matchup against Marquez is a bit more difficult than their recent matchups, they do actually look a little bit better in tournaments, given that more ownership is going to be going elsewhere than going to the Giants here. Not quite as much ownership as we were getting on previous slates where they were relatively disappointing. So it does make them look pretty appealing in tournaments. Now, before we take a look at the top 3 tournament pitchers, we do have a new promo code for viewers of these videos. That promo code is AdamMLB. You can find it written at the top of the screen. Use it and get 50% off Stokastic Plus weekly. This offer is available for new users only, but if you haven't already signed up for Stokastic Plus, take advantage. You'll get access to behind the paywall data, including the top stacks tool and the top pitchers tool that I reference in these videos. So again, that's promo code AdamMLB. Use it and get 50% off Stokastic Plus weekly. Now, taking a look at the top 3 tournament pitchers. Number 3, Triston McKenzie taking on the Chicago White Sox tonight in Chicago. McKenzie is projected for only 3% ownership with a 14% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher at $10,100. It's a relatively difficult strikeout matchup as the White Sox active roster has just a 20% strikeout percentage. They have a 103 WRC plus, but McKenzie is a solid strikeout pitcher in his own right with a 25.2% strikeout percentage and 3.88 xFIP this season. Number 2, Luis Severino taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Severino is $9,700. He's projected for 14% ownership with a 17% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher. He's likely to be relatively limited as he returns from the injured list, but pitching isn't very strong on this slate, and Severino enters tonight's game with a 27.2% strikeout percentage and 3.47 xFIP. He's taking on a Pirates team that has a 90 WRC plus and 25.9% strikeout percentage on their active roster. And number 1, Robbie Ray taking on the Oakland Athletics in Oakland. He's projected for 54% ownership with a 31% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher and a 14% chance of being a top 2 value at $9,600. While he is leading the slate in ownership, he has a fantastic matchup against an A's team that has an 89 WRC plus and 23.2% strikeout percentage on their active roster. Ray has a 27.7% strikeout percentage and 3.52 xFIP. As I mentioned before, pitching on this slate is relatively weak, and a lot of the good pitchers are in difficult matchups, or in the case of Severino, expected to be limited. So it does make Ray stand out in a good matchup, in a good pitcher's park, on a team that really needs to win this game. So we shouldn't expect him to be on any sort of a pitch count. So I'm willing to eat the ownership on Robbie Ray. So to recap, the top 3 tournament stacks: number 3, the Los Angeles Angels; number 2, the Seattle Mariners; number 1, the San Francisco Giants. The top 3 tournament pitchers: number 3, Triston McKenzie; number 2, Luis Severino; and number 1, Robbie Ray.